What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. Warriors Blazers. The Warriors start huge. They go Wiggins at the 2, Trace Jackson Davis at the 5. Kind of an interesting look, right? That lineup really struggled to score. They basically had Draymond run the point guard. They got just 88.5 points per 100 possessions in 11 minutes. So not a good offensive stretch for that group, but they dominated the game physically with that group. They grabbed 64% of all available rebounds. That's completely outrageous. They had a 96 defensive rating, which is obviously very good. The Warriors bench came in and then just immediately kind of turned the game around by forcing turnovers and getting out in transition. Gary Payton had 2 quick steals. That unit is it was like an interesting unit. It was anchored by like Gary Payton, Brandon Podziemski, and Buddy Hield. And that unit was actually really good. They were plus 10 in 5 minutes. A lot of, again, just forcing turnovers, getting out in transition. That's the true identity of this Warriors team beyond Steph Curry. Like the identity of the team is Curry, Draymond, and everything that they've been doing for over a decade, right? But the identity of the team beyond Steph Curry, the identity of the roster in terms of the supporting cast around those guys, is they are fast as shit on the perimeter, and they bring waves and waves of these guys in off the bench that can wreak havoc on the defensive end of the floor. The Warriors posted a 96 defensive rating last night. That was the best out of any NBA team in their first game. They were the only team that held their opponent below 100 points per 100 possessions. They dominated the glass. They grabbed 39% of their own misses. That's crazy, right? You're getting yourself all sorts of additional opportunities that way. Corner crashes, again, we've been talking a lot about this concept on the show over the last few months, but when you have those athletes, that's a great way to just supplement your offense, is just have those athletes crash from the corner and get offensive rebounds. But the Warriors get a lot of offensive rebounds from their bigs for different reasons. Like, you know, a lot of teams will get offensive rebounds from their bigs just because they're bigger, right? They're just big and they're taking up space underneath the basket. But for the Warriors, a lot of times it's because screen defenders have to show. So like if I'm Looney or if I'm Draymond or if I'm Trace Jackson Davis, all guys who had monster offensive rebounding games last night, you set a screen and there's a shooter coming off. So my defender, as the screener, is going to have to show. And so as I roll, I'm not just rolling as an offensive threat on the roll, I'm also rolling as a rebounding threat. And so you get a lot of offensive rebounds out of those situations because the big guys who are showing now have outside position and the rollers have inside position in rebounding situations, and they do some damage that way. They forced 18 turnovers as a team that led to 22 points. As I mentioned earlier, the Hield, Podziemski, Payton three-guard look was plus 10 in 5 minutes. Hield has just been such a seamless fit for the Warriors offense all preseason. And again, last night, he had 22 points. It's 5 for 8 on jump shots. He got to the rim 3 times for layups. He hit his only off-screen attempt. He had a pull-up 3 out of pick and roll. One of the big things, I was actually texting with my buddy Sam Esfandiari about this morning. Like, he pointed out, like, hey, like Steve Kerr is basically the only guy that's been able to produce this kind of production out of Buddy Hield. Now it's early, but throughout preseason and the first game of the regular season, Buddy Hield has been really, really good. Like really, really good. And he's generally in his career been a very inconsistent offensive player. So we'll see if it lasts in the long term, but he was pointing out that like Steve Kerr's system is just so perfectly catered to what he does and how he's kind of maximizing Buddy Hield. And one of the things I was talking with Sam about that I think that stood out to me on tape is Kevon Looney is just such a great screener. And on both of those 2 plays that I talked about, him coming off of the wide pin down out of the right corner and then the ball screen with Looney on the left wing, Kevon Looney set monster screens on both of those plays and got so much separation for Buddy. Again, one of the most underrated details of the Warriors' offensive success since the beginning of this era is excellent screening. Excellent screening from Andrew Bogut, excellent screening from Draymond Green, excellent screening from Andre Iguodala, from Kevon Looney. All of those guys just being really, really good screeners is a huge part of what makes Golden State's offense function. I'm going to show you guys some examples of that in the Timpf's tape segment, so you guys will see that later on today. Steph really struggled to hit shots early, but they were like literally wide open looks. Like the first 2 threes he missed were legitimately unguarded. There was one in the right corner and then one at the top of the key that he just happened to miss. He missed like a scoop shot that he normally makes, but then he settled down, finished with 17 points and 10 assists on only 10 shot attempts. A lot of that classic kind of Warriors tic-tac-toe action where they end up getting easy dunks and layups out of Steph coming off of screening actions. Only 2 turnovers. He ran 8 pick and rolls, including passes that led to 14 points. That's a really, really efficient shot creating night. Steph was plus 23 in 25 minutes. Overall, a really solid night for him, even if he didn't necessarily fill up the box score. A couple other guys I wanted to shout out. Andrew Wiggins, good night for him. Just kind of classic Andrew Wiggins on a good night. Like that's what a good Andrew Wiggins night looks like. Like good perimeter defense, nice transition attacks, just using his athleticism when he sees kind of a gap to hit in transition, hitting threes at the end of possessions. He had a pull-up 3 out of a ball screen at the top of the key. That was a really nice shot. Just kind of a classic good Andrew Wiggins game. And then a really nice first showing for Moses Moody in his first night of the season, plus 10 in 15 minutes. He had 15 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. He had a driving layup out of the right corner where he showed some real athletic pop, and he kind of got into the rim protector's chest and shielded him with his left shoulder and banked it in with his right hand off the glass. This is going to be a fun Warriors team. You know, I kind of look at them as a better version of the Clippers right now, in the sense that like Steph is just a much, much better player than James Harden, but they're similar to the Clippers in the sense that they just have all of these waves of athleticism on the perimeter that you're dealing with, right? Just like, it's just, there's 5 or 6 guys that you're seeing on any given night that are just super scrappy. Andrew Wiggins, scrappy. Moses Moody, scrappy. Brandon Podziemski, scrappy. Gary Payton II, scrappy. DeAnthony Melton, scrappy. Jonathan Kuminga, you know, still had kind of a iffy off-ball defensive night. I saw a couple possessions of him just kind of getting caught in limbo off-ball, but he had a couple of really good on-ball possessions defensively. I still think that's when he's at his best, is when he's just focused on somebody on the ball, so he gets a singular focus instead of like trying to track multiple things at the same time. But they're gonna be a really fun team. And like the other big difference between them and the Clippers is Draymond Green is just not only just a better player than Zubac, but a much, much better defensive anchor at that center position. So gonna be a fun team. Obviously, you're not going to be playing the Blazers every single night, but that's about as impressive a first night of the season as you can see. The Warriors have been super sharp from the start of training camp. They might not have as much talent as some of the top teams in the league, but they are, in terms of just the quality of basketball they're playing some of the best basketball in the NBA right now. Bucks Sixers, not going to spend too much time here. Joel Embiid and Paul George did not play. Big talent mismatch as a result. But Dame just continues to look super, super sharp, which is encouraging. He was 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists on just 19 shot attempts. Ran 28 ball screens, including passes, generated 37 points. 1.32 points per possession. That's incredible. Legit just looks like he has more burst than he did last year, getting more separation on those step back moves, getting more lift on his movement jump shots, more downhill verve as he's trying to attack out of ball screens. Had some nice kick out passes to Taurean Prince. Really nice first game for Taurean Prince. He's 4 for 5 from 3, but it gives him a really nice kind of outlet on those kick out passes when he's operating in pick and roll. Dame was 6 for 12 on off the dribble jump shots, including 5 pull-up threes. So he's at 1.42 points per pull-up jump shot. Just really, really nice first game from Dame. And then Giannis was just a complete monster. He ran 13 ISOs in post-ups for 22 points, including passes, 1.69 points per possession. I talked a lot in preseason about variations for the Dame Giannis 2-man game involving more dribble handoffs. And I have a couple of clips in the Timpf's tape segment that I'm going to show you guys that kind of demonstrate this, but they ran a lot of like interesting dribble handoff stuff. There was kind of like a 2-man game that they ran at the top of the key where the Sixers were aggressively switching, and Giannis went like he was going to do a dribble handoff with Dame and then did a keeper. And then I think Caleb Martin was the guy that showed hard on him, but he showed so hard that Giannis was able to quickly just turn the corner on him going to his right hand, got all the way to the rim for a layup. And it's like, aggressive switches are basically like closeouts. So if you attack them quickly, you can get dribble penetration, and you're only going to get those through you're only going to get an opportunity like that through the size mismatch that comes from a Dame Giannis 2-man game because they're guarded by such different defenders. And then, I talked about in preseason the cleared side dribble handoff, right? Ran one of those. I'll show you guys in the film session. Dribble handoff to Dame. Dame gets the ball off the handoff. Both defenders go with Dame. Dame floats it over the top to Giannis. Giannis ends up getting an easy finish on the roll. That's the kind of stuff that I'm really excited about in terms of the ceiling for this team offensively when they get into slow down half-court environments. If they can perfect that Dame Giannis 2-man game, that's what gives them that championship potential, right? So good first showing for the Bucks.